Hi, Megan.
Hey, Sarah.
I'm so excited to see your face.
I know it's been like a week since we've hung out, and it seems like forever.
I know it's too long.
I
How
know.
are you? I think you have big news.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. We got a new puppy yesterday. I
Yay!
know. We're so excited. She's a
Oh,
sweetheart. She's a golden retriever. We last weekend we went to an event and there were dogs for adoption. And we saw a golden retriever that we really wanted. She was up for adoption and we tried to adopt her, but many other families also applied at the same time. So we didn't end up getting her. So I went online and just looked to see where else we could get a golden retriever and found a good breeder and went to meet some puppies yesterday. And we picked out the most chill puppy I've ever met. She is so relaxed, which is good for my kids.
yeah. How old is
Yeah.
she?
She is 9 weeks. So she's
So,
a
oh,
baby.
so young. Does she have puppy breath? I love puppy breath.
Oh, yeah. It's so cute. I picked her up and I was like, oh, she smells like a golden. She just smells
Oh,
like the new puppy smell. She's a really sweet dog. So my kids are really excited. They've been begging for one for a really long time, and we had been thinking we might be moving, and so we've been putting it off for a while, but then recently made the decision we're staying put. And once we made that decision, it was very easy then to say yes to a dog because we know we're here, we can help train her and
yes.
things like that. So she's sweet.
Okay, and you named her Waffles. Where did that come
Yes.
from? It's so cute.
Thanks. My middle daughter loves waffles for breakfast, and I think we were talking about what to name her, and she was eating waffles at the time, and she's like, waffles, and we were all like, oh,
Oh,
that's precious. Let's go with
it's
that.
so cute. And she's the color of
Thanks.
waffles.
Yeah. She's like a pretty golden,
Oh,
like red color, which is like unusual for Goldens now. They usually are like really blonde now. So
oh.
she's just such a pretty girl and very sweet. So we had met another Golden at the same time that initially the breeder thought that this other Golden was going to be the one for us. And we met her and she was just so rambunctious and jumped right on my kids. And I was
Oh,
like, okay,
too
they
much.
too much, yeah. So we got to like look at the temperament and stuff like that, and this one was just very relaxed and like easygoing. So
So it's been one
yeah,
night. How was the first night? Is it
one
like having an
night.
infant again?
Yeah, she did have an accident when I woke up this morning. She was in her crate, so got all that cleaned up and gave her a bath, and now she's a happy little pup again. Got it all cleaned up, so
Oh,
that's to be expected. So
yes, of course.
yeah.
Oh, it's
So
so exciting.
she's
I can't wait to meet
sweet.
her.
I know. I can't wait for you guys to meet her either. You're gonna love her.
Oh, so
She's a sweetheart.
cute.
Yeah.
Well,
So
she landed in a dream family. She is going to be
thank
so
you.
loved.
Oh, she is. Yes, she's already a full-fledged member of our family, so we love her
Oh,
very much. Yeah, she's a sweetheart. Um,
so
but
exciting.
yeah. What's up with you? What's new with you?
Well, nothing that exciting.
Oh.
But I when I was thinking about check-in topics, I had an exciting topic. So I shared with you last week that I won the Orange Theory challenge, and part of my gift package was a Sephora gift card. And
Ooh.
just being in the beauty industry for so long, I don't buy myself makeup that often. I mean, you've seen my makeup closet.
It's
um,
wonderful. Yes.
between everything I've accumulated from my business and then everything that my friends in the industry gift me, I really don't ever have a need to buy stuff.
Mm.
But I found myself with the Sephora gift card, and I went all by myself and I just took my time and I played with a bunch of products, and it was
Oh.
really fun. I explored all the new brands out there. And I ended up buying the most amazing eyeshadow palette. So the brand is Pat McGrath. I'm not sure if you've heard of it.
Yes, I think you recommended their mascara to me a
Oh,
long time ago, and I
yes.
have actually been looking at their eyeshadow online. I love it, and I've been meaning to ask you, is
Okay.
it clean?
Okay, so we're going to have to get into this in our clean beauty episode.
Okay.
So the brand is not considered clean. However, they don't use parabens or phthalates. The
Oh,
reason it's not considered clean is some of their products have talc in them.
oh,
So it really has to be a personal preference. I
mm,
haven't done a deep dive on their foundation products, which is where I usually, I'm pretty strict about ensuring that I only use clean foundation products because that's going all over your whole face. Her eyeshadow does have talc in it, which is
oh.
not ideal, but it's so beautiful. I do give in a little bit here and there
Yeah.
when I find something I really love, you know, like Botox.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had been gifted her mascara a while ago and I loved it. So I purchased that and I use that often. But I purchased my first eyeshadow palette. She is a famous British makeup artist and she finally launched her own makeup brand not too long ago in 2015. Quickly, it became $1 billion company. It's the number one makeup brand overseas, and I think it's just really in the last couple of years starting to blow up here. It's luxury, high end. The price points
Hmm.
reflect that. But the
Hmm.
eyeshadow palette I got was a quad, and it's called Blitz Artistful Quad in Ritualistic Rose. And I can't wait to show it to you
Ooh.
in person. It's so glittery and
Ah.
sparkly.
I love that. That's why I've been looking at because I've been looking for glitter, like shimmer. Like I don't want like the
Yes.
big pieces of glitter, but like the shimmer eyeshadows. Those are my favorite, and I ran out of my favorite rose gold eyeshadow. Actually, I busted it, and so I've been
Oh,
looking for a new one for a long time. And I've seen the ones from Pat McGrath and
okay.
been very tempted. So
This is it. I gave it a test
yay!
drive. I wore it yesterday and I wore it in the morning and then I went to a workout class and the pigment stayed put and it's just the most beautiful rose gold
Yay!
and gold glittery shimmer. I can't wait to show it to you in person and you need this product.
I think I do. If you say I do, I do. I know I do. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but
Oh, that's
now I'm
exciting.
gonna do a little bit more research into all of her products, and we can discuss it further on our clean beauty episode that'll be coming up. But I'm definitely interested in this brand, and I'm gonna start trying more things. So far, I recommend the Fetish Eye Mascara,
Hmm.
and I'm recommending the eyeshadow quad in Ritualistic Rose. If you don't mind playing with some eyeshadows that have talc in them.
Yeah. Well, that's actually also interesting. Let's get into that, I think, with our beauty episode. But you can selectively choose maybe places where it's okay to not be as clean, and then you can
Correct.
sacrifice a little bit to have that pretty color or have that smooth application.
Correct.
I did not know about the foundation aspect of it, so
Yeah.
I'm very excited for that. We should talk more.
Yeah, we'll get into it more, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
for now, I'll show it to you when I see you in person. You'll have to try
Yay.
it.
Yes. Oh, I'm excited. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, should we get into it?
Yes, welcome
Okay.
everyone to Platinum Perspective. This is the podcast about beauty, travel, luxury, and more. I'm your co host, Sarah.
And I'm Megan. Sarah and I are best friends who put the work in to get the most out of life so you don't have to. Today, we're going to be talking about our Disneyland trip and doing a Disneyland recap episode, which we are
Yay!
so excited to dive into because it was such a fun trip.
Ah, the best, the best, the best, the best.
Yes, yes, yes. And so many things went right on this trip.
Yes.
So, in comparison with the Tahoe trip, I would say this one was a huge success. Um,
Well,
but
and
I
I think
did. Oh, go
yeah.
ahead.
And I think that the learnings from this trip is that Megan, had you had put together a perfect itinerary for Disneyland
Oh,
based
yay.
on your experience and your research. And for me, going in as a Disneyland novice and have never had done it before with my family, being able to tag on with your expertise created the perfect trip. So for any of our listeners out there who haven't done Disney before, or who have done Disneyland and maybe it wasn't the trip you were hoping to have, this is the episode for you because Megan, you have mastered it and you brought us along and we had the best trip ever.
Oh, yay. I'm so glad it was magical for you guys. That was what I really wanted, was you guys to walk away saying that was so much fun and we
It
want to
was.
do it again. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, we have done it so many times that we've been able to perfect that equation, and make it exactly what we want and what we need. But there's always more room. So yeah, any pointers that you have? I know you had differing sort of personalities on your side to deal with, and so
Yes.
whereas we're the go 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 family, you needed a little bit more time and space for your kids at times, which is
Yes.
totally normal because that's a big place with a lot of people. So that's a lot of exposure. But
It was too, and I think my kids are 6 and 3, and my 6-year-old is more introverted. So just being in a place that had so many people was really eye-opening and overwhelming. I think for all of us too. I consider myself an extrovert, but it was for me too. Just the amount of people,
yes.
and also just the everything that's there. You want to take a step back and soak it in and observe everything. So we did take a step back here and there during the trip and let you guys go on some rides, and we just sat for a second and looked at everything and ate a
Yeah.
treat and soaked it in. And I think that was a combination of personalities, but also it just being our first time as a young family
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
really wanting to savor that magic.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I did make some rapid fire questions for us to
Yay!
trade back and forth.
Okay.
So the first question I have for you is, what do you rate our Disneyland trip from 1 to 10?
I mean, it's a 10. It's a 10 for me. I had the
Yay!
best time ever. It was perfectly planned, which I expect
Oh.
nothing less from you. um, and it was the perfect magical experience. Everyone in my family had the most amazing time. It was a 10 from all of us. What was it for
Yay!
you?
Also, a 10. I have to say it was the best Disney trip I have taken. Everything just
Really?
went perfectly. And then to have you guys there to do it with us. And I mean, just looking at your kids, they were doing it for the first time and seeing you guys, it was just a lot of fun. Like, there's something
Yeah.
so special to somebody doing it for the first time and, seeing what they think of it and all that. So that made a lot of fun. And also, I mean, we can get more into this, but going with friends is a lot of fun. Like, we've done it with family before too. That's also fun, but it's nice to have people there that we can, you were able to watch our kids for a couple of rides, and my husband and I were able to do a ride together. Like, that just never happens, especially for the big,
Yeah.
the big kid rides. Like, usually we're trading back and forth. So some things like that made it extra special. And so that was really wonderful. It was magical on our
Yes.
side. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I
Yay.
love
Yeah.
it.
What was your favorite part? Question two.
Uh, I had so many favorite parts. It's hard to pick one, so I'm going to pick two. My
Okay.
first favorite part for my children was I had always envisioned taking them on It's a Small World.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so the first time that we took them on It's a Small World, that first day at the park, their reaction was exactly what I had expected. They were just in awe. Their eyes were so big, looking at everything and smiling. And that was a moment for me. I was emotional. I got teary-eyed because I remember going on that as a child, and it was exactly what I had hoped it would be for them. So that was
Yay.
my favorite part for them. My other favorite part that was just for me was at the end. of one of the first night, I guess it was, when I had been so focused on my children the whole trip and how they were experiencing it. And one of my faults, I suppose, is that I get really wrapped up in everything for them. And I often don't think about something for myself. But when we were in California Adventure, you grabbed my hand and you were like, let's go on the Incredicoaster, just us.
Oh, yeah.
And it didn't even occur to me to do that because I was so, they can't go on that ride. And I was so focused on them. And of course I should have been doing that. And then your older daughter came with us, and it was dark and the lights, and being on the roller coaster with you, we sat next to each other, and it was so much fun. I hadn't been on a roller coaster in years.
Yes.
It was just the feeling of like being there in that moment, being with you and your family and my family, and the lights and the air, and it was magical.
Oh, yay. I'm so glad we got to do that together. We got to do that together multiple times.
Yes.
I have to give credit where credit's due. Eric, my husband, was the one who whispered in my ear, and he said, you need to take Sarah on that ride. Because I think Eric had just gone with me and our eldest, and he's like, Sarah's got to do this. And so that was his idea, and I was like, that's a great idea. And I loved taking you on that ride. That was my favorite ride of all time. I think of any ride that's available at any Disney park. Incredicoaster's my favorite. It's just, I didn't even grow up in California, but I feel the nostalgia of that ride. There's something about it.
It's similar to, I did grow up in California, and it's similar to the wooden coasters that are at the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk and at the Santa Monica Pier. So at the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, they have the Giant Dipper, and I think the Incredicoaster was inspired by these California wooden roller coasters. But the Incredicoaster is like the most amazing new technology, the better version of those.
Yeah.
But it has the same kind of dips and kind of the same lights and the same type of feel, but just heightened and better. So it was very nostalgic for me growing up and going to the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk and riding that roller coaster as a teenager all the time.
Yeah.
Well, thank you to Eric. That was so sweet. I didn't know that.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. That was his idea. I loved that part too.
Yeah.
That was so fun. I think my favorite part was Magic Happens, the parade.
Oh,
which
yes.
I have to say, I wasn't even that excited about it. It was a daytime parade, and usually my favorite parades from Disney are nighttime parades. And it was like middle of the day. But oh my gosh, like it was amazing. It was such a good parade, and the music was amazing. The performances were amazing. The floats were incredible.
It was like a Broadway show.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was shocked. I honestly think it's probably one of the best parades I've ever seen at a Disney park. I mean, they blew that one out of the water. It is so good. And I do know that it's really important to the park also, like the people that work there, because they were only able to do that for 2 weeks before. It was a brand new parade right before the pandemic, and then they had to close it. So it just came back. And so it was really special, I think, because of that too, just to feel like, oh, life's getting back to normal, and here's the parade that they had put together. And so it was really cool, and it was new for us. And so anytime there's something new like that at a Disney park, because we've done it so many times, it just stands out. And my kids were they loved it. It had, all the new characters, that I feel like they need in the park.
Special. It was so special. My oldest daughter just recently said, oh, I'm thinking about Disneyland, and I loved it when I met Tinkerbell, and she put sprinkles on me. And it was in that parade. Tinkerbell came right over to us and was putting her wand above the girls. And then she said she was bigger than I imagined she would be.
And mind you, that was a little Tinkerbell.
Oh,
But
she was tiny.
She was a tiny, tiny Tinkerbell. But yeah, she was human sized.
Yes.
Oh, that's so cute. Yeah, I have to
Yeah.
say that parade blew my socks off. That was so good.
It was amazing. I'm so
Yeah.
happy we did it.
Yeah,
Yes.
me too. And then question 3. Well, you already sort of maybe gave this one away, but maybe not. What was your favorite ride?
Well, my favorite ride for myself, of course, was the Incredicoaster, but my favorite ride with my girls was Mater's Trucks in California Adventure. Which I paused on that name because we haven't watched that movie, but it's from the Cars movie. And when you all the adults took the bigger kids on the Cars ride, myself and my girls and your youngest, we went over to the Mater's truck ride, and it's just a simple little ride, but you're sitting in these old fashioned trucks and it kind of whips you around. And my daughters were laughing so hard and smiling so big. And the three of us got to sit together, and it just kind of reminded me of being a child and going on your first kind of fast ride.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't help but cracking up laughing the whole time. So we had so much fun doing that together.
Yeah, that's a cute ride. It's called Mater's Junkyard Jamboree.
Oh, yep, that's
Yeah.
it. It has
Yeah.
good music too.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Yeah, I love Mater, the character on the Cars movies. He's funny. So, yeah, cool. Well, I
What was
think
your favorite ride? Is the Incredicoaster?
that's my all-time favorite ride, but I think my favorite ride was the old Tower of Terror ride, which now they've redone into a Guardians of the Galaxy theme. But it's like an elevator ride where you go up really high and then you drop. And you don't just drop with gravity, like this thing pulls you down, like I mean down stories and stories
Are
of
you strapped in a seat?
yeah, yeah. So you're strapped in
Okay.
a seat, and it used to be this like sort of old timey Tower of Terror with the Twilight Zone was like the theme.
Oh,
So I
okay.
remember that the Twilight Zone, but they've now made it. I think it's even better now with the Guardians of the Galaxy crew, and it's really good. And I was shocked because it was my favorite, my middle child's favorite ride. And she's the one who is a little less inclined to do the thrill rides. Like that's not her favorite thing. Like she'll do a roller coaster here or there, but that's just like not her favorite. So this was her favorite ride for the park that time. And usually we skip it because, I mean, my eldest is the only one who wants to do it. But I was like doing it myself with them a bunch of times this go around. And I had a lot of fun because that thing really pulls you down fast.
Wow, and she's only 6.
I
That's
know.
a big ride.
I know.
Wow.
I was shocked, but I was like, "Hey, okay." Her repertoire of things that she feels comfortable doing is expanding,
It's
and that's
expanded.
like,
That's great.
yeah, that's why I love taking trips with kids. I just feel like they take these mental leaps,
Yes.
and it's interesting to see which ways they grow when they have these new
Yes.
experiences. So that was cool to see her enjoy such a cool thrill ride.
Oh, well, I'll look forward
Yeah.
to. I didn't try that ride because my girls are not there yet, but
Yeah.
I'll try it next time we go.
Yeah, next time we'll have to do it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, why don't we like unpack a little bit of how the trip started? um, you guys had a very predictable sort of drive down, right? You drove
Yes.
down to
Yeah,
Disneyland.
I mean, I don't even need to take too much time. We woke up early. We decided to drive because we were gonna tag on. We'll get into this, but we tagged on a Santa Barbara trip to the back end, and just with how long it takes to fly from the Bay Area and renting a car and all that, we just thought we're just gonna drive. So we woke up really early in the morning. I think we left around 7 a.m. The car was already packed. My
Perfect.
kids were excited. We got there so quick. I couldn't believe it. And we were staying at the Grand California, as you recommended. And we called when we were about an hour out, and they had our room ready for us when we arrived. It was super easy and great.
And that was early too, right? It was an early arrival and early
Yes,
check-in. That's
it was.
great.
Yes, and it was a couple hours early. And we had never stayed there before, so we don't have any status with them. So I was really impressed with it being spring break timing, that they were pretty busy, and us not having status with them, that they were so great on the phone, and they do the digital key. So we just called. They said, "Oh, I'm sending it through to the app right now. Your room's ready. Here's your digital key." So it was super smooth, super easy, and we were excited to be there. But I'm
Yay.
sorry that you guys didn't have the same travel down experience.
Well, it's some good, some bad. So we were planning to fly after I talked all about how wonderful it is to fly down to Disneyland. We've done it all these different ways. We were going to go from San Francisco to LAX, and it was going to take like an hour and a half. And we had, I think our flight was supposed to leave at like 10:30 or 11:30 or something like that. So we got a text message that morning that the flight's delayed. Look it up and no, it's not just delayed, it's canceled. And the next one's not till 6:30 that night. So yeah, it was surprising. So we were like, okay, I guess we're driving, because we had dinner plans with you guys that night, and I really wanted to eat at the California grill outside at the Grand Californian. So I was like, okay, well, Eric's like, let's just pack up the car and go. I was like, all right, we're driving. We haven't done this for a while. We didn't leave in an optimal time. I think it probably took us an extra hour and a half to get there than you guys. But I was actually shocked. It was an easy drive. The kids, being just a couple years older, made a huge difference in their tolerance of sitting in a car for a few hours to get down there. So, and that's usually been like the hardest part for us. It's like they just don't want to sit in the car for 5 to 6 hours, or it used to be that way. And now they did just great. So I actually think, yeah, and it was nice to not have to go to an airport, check in. I didn't have to shove everything I own into one suitcase. We got to pack the car full of suitcases. It was just ended up being so much more flexible. And I think from now on, we're sold. We're going to start driving.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's some good, some bad. Like, it was bad it was
Yeah.
canceled, but also a good experience to be forced to make that drive again with kids that are a couple years older, and realize, oh, they're great. And there's a lot of benefits to driving. So,
Right. Well, the fact that our youngest are both 3, it is crazy to think about. Like, just a few years ago, I don't think I could have made that drive either. That only very recently has time in the car been easy. It used to be so challenging with babies. They don't want to be in the car. Of course not.
they don't. Yeah.
Well, that's great to know for the future.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. And because we belong to DVC, we had free parking too. So that was another thing that was like, you used to pay $30 for parking every single night you were there. And they recently gave DVC members back their free parking. So I was grateful for that too. Yeah, just everything sort of worked out. And we were able to get there in time, well, sort of on time for dinner. I think we were about maybe half an hour late. But yeah, it worked out, and we were so excited to see you guys, and it was nice weather that night. So
yes, it was perfect. So we checked in. I think we got there around 1, maybe a little bit before, and you had said to me, really soak in your walk into the hotel. It's so beautiful. And we did. We just pulled right up to valet. We didn't bother the luggage. We just grabbed a few of our bags, and we walked in, and it is so beautiful. It reminds me of California. It has a Tahoe vibe with all of the wood beams, and it was really magical. So we were so excited to be there, and we were anxiously anticipating you all knowing that your plans had changed.
right.
Yeah, and we had plans to eat at the Craftsman Grill by the pool, and it worked out perfectly. I wasn't sure if it was going to work out because we had woken up so early and my girls were getting tired, but we made it, and we got to dinner, and we got a great table, and the property is just so stunning. The pool is beautiful, and the food is great. You had assured me that Disney would have good food, and I was skeptical, and you were right.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad it lived up to your standards. I know you love to eat healthy.
Yes.
And I love their salmon salad there. I mean, they have some good options that are healthy at that restaurant. Even having like, non-meat options, which is
Yes.
it's key too to have a variety for all different types of diets.
Yes, it's so key. It's key for us, and I'm just really appreciative that hotels, at least in California, I think have really stepped up their menus,
Agreed.
because there are healthy, great options. My family, my girls and I are pescatarian, so we were so excited. We sat at our table, and then you texted me that you were checking in. You guys were there, and when we saw you running towards us to sit at the table next to us for dinner, it was like, yay, we made it. We're
I
all
think I was
here.
screaming. I was like,
Yeah.
"Yay, we're
You were
here!"
like, bring
Yeah.
on the champagne.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that pool area. I love that restaurant. I love sitting outdoors. The live music is great on Saturday
Yes.
nights. There's just something about that ambiance with the music. I remember that music every time I come back. I hear it, and it just like that just calls for a glass of champagne. Just sit outside and enjoy yourself, and the kids can run around and dance and whatever, and that's perfectly fine because it's Disney and they expect it.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm glad you really enjoyed it. I do love that lobby. It's so distinct for me from other Disney properties, and it's so California, which is just I love a good theme, and that was a brilliant theme for that lobby,
Yes.
and for that property. I just love that, and actually for Disney California Adventure, the actual park. It's a good theme. There's a lot
Yes.
from California, and those of us who are living in California love it because we just appreciate the way it harkens back to things that are just nostalgic and so
Yes.
California. And that log inside, like the log cabin feel, is just so California to me. Like I just love the architecture.
It's beautiful. It really
Yeah.
takes your breath away. The
It does.
architecture is breathtaking. My girls, their favorite part of the lobby was the little kids like TV area. They have these tiny
Yes.
little wooden rocking chairs that are, I mean, they're probably only meant for kids that are about like 6 and under. They're really
Yeah.
tiny, and they are playing the old Disney cartoons. So the old Mickey and
Yes.
Minnie from like the 70s. And it was just so sweet watching all these kids that don't know each other sitting in all of these little rocking chairs, just soaking it all in and being so happy to be there.
Yes, those small details that Disney knows. You got to do something with your kids while you're checking in. Like just
Yeah.
those small details of like they've figured out you can have a cartoon going and it keeps them occupied
Yeah.
for about 15 minutes. And how long does it take to check in? About 15 minutes. They have those things figured out just that, I mean, it just smooths the trip out. There's not a kid screaming because there's nothing to do. There's a TV on and there's cool rocking chairs for little kids. And
Yeah.
one interesting thing is that most properties I've stayed at that are Disney have that seating area and they're all themed differently depending on what hotel you're staying at. But they all have
So
like,
cool.
yeah, it's just such a good idea for kids, and that's what they're going to get when they're Disney. So I love that, and I love the live piano music that they have in the evenings. We walked by, and my eldest was dressed up as something Star Wars, I can't remember, and the pianist just started playing like dun 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 for her, and it's the March of the First Order or whatever, and I just started dying laughing, and she walked back to him and she started marching and stuff. So
Oh,
they
that's
just
so special.
yeah.
And I love how they are focused on children, they're focused on families, but it is a luxury resort.
Yes.
So I was a little worried before going there for our first time, like, okay, this is a Disney trip. Potentially we're gonna have to make sacrifices because this is a kid-focused theme park trip.
Right.
But no, this hotel really exceeded my expectations. They are a luxury resort. The service was impeccable. It was spotless, just so clean. They have a lot of pockets all over the property that are reminiscent of Maui, just really beautiful, lush gardens with seating areas. My husband had to work a bit while we were there, and he found quite a few outdoor areas with like outdoor fireplaces that were just empty in the mornings. And we explored the property on our down day and found just all these cool little resting areas. And there was always staff present asking if you needed anything. Honestly, it was very similar to like a Ritz-Carlton experience, which, I love.
I know they're the gold standard. Yeah.
They are. But
yeah.
anything like we needed a sewing kit at one point, they had it. We needed a Band-Aid at one point, they had it. It was just the service aspect was just really the cherry on the top of the beauty of the property. And when we go back, I can't imagine staying anywhere else. I think that I would definitely want to stay here again.
Yeah, it's a beautiful property. And I agree. I think the service there is just phenomenal. And you had a really cool view from your room, right?
We did. So I, of course, don't have much to compare it to, this being our first stay, but we were in room 5452. So it was on the 5th floor. And I know you're very familiar with the resort, but it was the elevator, was the Napa Rose elevator. So the restaurant where the Princess Breakfast is, that area of the resort was the elevator that you took up to our floor. And initially, we got our digital key and we get in the elevator, and our room was far from the elevator. And as we're walking down the hallway, I was like, oh, I'm kind of known for don't bring any luggage in, because I'm going to look at this room and 9 times out of 10, my husband's going to go get a different room for us.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. I do that same thing.
I'm like, oh, it's too small. I need a bigger room, or it's not the right view, or it's too close to an elevator.
It smells like something.
Yeah. I'm like, this is our vacation. I want it to be perfect. We put a lot of time and money into this.
Agreed.
And so initially I thought it was too far from the elevator, but it ended up not being too far. It was beautiful. So we were staying in a 1-bedroom suite, and it had 2 balconies, and it was a corner unit. One balcony faced Disneyland. So when you stood on that balcony and looked out, it was the entrance of Disneyland.
Wow.
And then when you went into the living room, there was another balcony, and that balcony faced the kind of side, the back side of California Adventure. So it faced the Grizzly Peak ride and that area right there. So we were able to see the shows at night, the fireworks the first night, and the World of Color from both balconies. So you could run back and forth and see different stuff going on.
That's incredible. That's an incredible view, by the way. I don't think that that's normal, or maybe it is for that tower if you're on the corner to have a view of both. Usually I feel like you have to choose one or the other. And then I've stayed in 1-bedroom suites where you're looking at the monorail. So I think you guys got a really good, room.
We had a bellhop come by, and he came in and brought the luggage, and I had asked him, I didn't know, and I said, will we be able to see fireworks from this room before we put away our luggage?
Yeah.
And he was the one who showed me, and he was like, this is what you're looking at here, this is what you're looking at here, and he said this is one of the best views for a 1-bedroom suite. I will say that the one thing that was not a 10 for this hotel and for this room is that the 1-bedroom suites do not have a bathtub.
Oh, right.
And so we did call, and I said, we are in a room without a bathtub. I have 2 small children who take a bath every single night. Mm-hmm. And they said that only a few of the rooms on the property, a 1 or 2-bedroom suites, have bathtubs, and they were not available for that trip. So, that was a little challenging. we ended up not taking a bath every night of the trip because we were so exhausted.
Yeah,
But my
yeah.
girls had their first showers
Oh, okay.
because there was no bath. So it ended up being fine, but that was an odd, that's odd to me for a resort that's expecting a lot of children.
That seems like a miss. Yeah, I'm surprised that there wasn't a bathtub there. I do know that the DVC side is due for a renovation, I think, end of next year. And I wonder if they do the whole hotel at the same time, but that seems like something they could fix.
Yeah, it was odd, but it ended
Surprising.
up being fine. The one thing that I loved, and I knew this going in because I had seen the photos of the room we booked. So our family will either book a one or a two bedroom suite, depending on what the couch bed situation is. If
Mm.
it looks like a good one, we're great with a one bedroom suite if it's a good size and the couch bed looks good. Um, but sometimes we'll need a two bedroom if the couch bed is just small and janky. And the couch bed at this resort is the same couch bed that they have at Ritz Carlton one bedroom suites.
Oh, that's
Where,
interesting.
yes, where it is an L shaped couch bed. So when you pull the couch bed out, you have this additional lounger that turns it into basically a Cal King size.
Nice. Okay.
And that is key for me with my two girls. So I'm able to put them down on that couch bed comfortably. And then my husband and I are in the king and the master. But of course, being a mom to toddlers, I go back and forth.
Right. Yeah, of course. And it's
um,
nice to have extra space there to lay down with them if you
yes,
need to. Yeah.
because some couch beds are so small you could barely fit one child and an adult. So it's just really challenging. But this is perfect. So it's really like having two king beds.
That's perfect. Yeah, that's great. And
It
so
was
just
great.
as a reminder, that was 5452, room 5452. I
That's
know
right.
sometimes
Yep.
people look these up and want to know what room to request. I think this would be
Yes.
a good one to request.
I think so too. It was a great room. I don't have much to compare it to, but I think we're going to request that room next time because we loved it. It was perfect.
That's awesome.
How were you guys in a different room than you typically or townhouse than you typically stay in? Is that what they call them
Yeah.
for DVC townhouses
They're
or
called they're called villas,
oh
and
villas?
we stay in a grand villa, which is the 3 bedroom. So they have studios, they have 1 bedrooms, they have 2 bedrooms, and then the grand villa is the 3 bedrooms. There's two of them that are able to be rented through DVC on the property. So there's only two.
There's
So
only two.
yeah, so you have to book
Oh
these up pretty
wow.
far in advance, which is that's okay because we decided it was worth the cost savings to have the extra space and to book far in advance. We know we'd want to stay here repeatedly, and so that's why we ended up buying. Was we were like, okay, we're going to save money, and then I get first dibs on
Oh
these
yes.
11 months in advance. I can book this thing, and I do. Right at 11 months, I'll book it because if I don't, somebody else will snatch it. Um, Usually we stay in room 4522. So it's the fourth floor that you enter from, but it's a 2-story unit. And so it has 1 bedroom downstairs with 2 bathrooms, and it has 2 bedrooms upstairs with en suites. And so the master bedroom is downstairs. Usually the 4522 faces Disney California Adventure. And that's the one we've stayed in the most. It is an accessible room. So it's good for that. But also you get to see World of Color every single night that it's playing. And if it's playing 2 times a night, you hear it 2 times a night. So sometimes we'll go for 5 or 6 days and we'll know every single song from World of Color by the time we're leaving. I will say that that unit is much louder all night than the one we just stayed in. And it was the first time we got to stay in this room, and it's 4513, and it actually faces Disneyland. So we got to have a fireworks view above the buildings, at least. We didn't get a full fireworks view, but we did get to see the fireworks from Disneyland. And because it faced the pool area, it was much quieter throughout the night. So at first I was like, oh, I miss our old room. I miss watching World of Color every night. And then the fireworks started and I got a full night of sleep every single night, which I haven't gotten there in the other room. The thing is that the people who work at Disney and who put on these parades, they got to practice sometime and they need to practice in the park where they're marching. And so they'll practice at times throughout the night in the park. And so if you're in that room, the one that's facing Disney California Adventure, you're going to hear that. And probably most people they probably don't get bothered by that too much. I'm very sensitive to sound though, so I'll listen to it. And at one point, we were there over in October and they were practicing for the Christmas parade. And I had to call the front desk. I'm like, when are they going to stop this practicing? Because I'm hearing drums out there, all this stuff. So
Wow.
I love this new room for the quiet. And I'm willing to give up that view of World of Color in order to have the serenity throughout the night just to get a full night of sleep.
Well, and on this trip, you really need a full night's sleep to have energy to get through the days.
Yeah, yeah.
So next time you'll request 4513.
Yeah, you actually know when you book it whether you get it or not. You'll either be accessible room or the non-accessible room. So the non-accessible room, since we don't need it, that's okay, is 4513, and that's the one that faces the pool and is so quiet. So
wow,
I love it.
I can't believe they only have 2 3-bedroom villas.
I know. Well, I think they're not rented as often, and also the DVC tower at at the Grand Californian is more of like a boutique hotel, whereas other DVC hotels, especially down in Orlando, are much larger and have so many more rooms. Like the Grand Floridian is much larger, and there's 6 Grand Villas to choose from in that tower. So it just depends on what property you're staying at, but this one is much smaller. It's much more boutique. You basically have to be a member to stay at the DVC villas at the Grand Californian. They don't go, if you're a DVC member from Florida, it's very, very rare that you're going to be able to score one of these because we that own get them first dibs and we take them.
Right.
So,
well, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, but I loved it. It was a perfect unit. Due for a refurbishment, so Disney needs to get on that. We are ready. They do like a soft refurbishment every 7 years and a real refurb every 14. And next year, I want to say is year 14, and it's due. So,
oh wow, okay, well that'll be exciting to see what they do with it.
I know, I can't wait to see, especially after seeing what they did with the DVC villas at Disneyland. My hopes are high, so we'll see. But
so exciting. Well, I love that we started off our trip with both getting great rooms because that is such an important part of any trip. I can never stay in a small or a loud or just a room that's not up to par. So getting these great rooms was the first great point at this trip.
It started off the trip the right way. Yeah. And then our first day in the park was our VIP day. And it was so fun. I had so much fun.
So fun. I doing the VIP tour, I knew it was going to be special just based on what you had shared. And I knew that the luxury of not having to wait in lines was going to be super important, just having so many small children with us. But it exceeded all my expectations. The VIP tour guide that we had was named Kathy, and she was so kind and so just really good at her job, really knowledgeable about everything about Disney. I learned so much from her, and she was kind of like a big sister to all of our kids.
She was. Yeah.
My oldest daughter, she's not super affectionate with other adults, which is fine. I'm happy for her. But at the end of the VIP day, she ran over and she gave Kathy a hug and she said, "I love you."
Oh, she did?
Yes.
I know that had to have made her day.
And
that
I
is
just
so
was like
sweet.
watching that. I was like, wow, this young woman who's so talented, so good at her job, she just really made an impact on all these little girls.
Yeah, she did. She's fantastic. We were hoping to get her because we've had her a couple times, and
Mhm.
every time we go back to see her, it's just like seeing, an old friend. And
Yes.
my eldest just loves her, adores her, and wants to ride all the rides with her. And I trust her enough to like
Yes.
take my eldest and go on a ride without us. Like she's so good. And I do know most of the guides there are really really good at Disneyland.
Well, and I think that, you introduced me the to this service that they offer. I didn't know about it prior, and I think that for anyone that is going to Disney with small children that has the means to add this extra service, it is so worth it. It is
Mm-hmm.
worth it to not have to wait in lines. It is worth it to have a guide who kind of helps you understand where to go next. One of my favorite parts of the VIP service was meeting the princesses.
Oh, yes.
So
We had never
she
done that before. That was so special.
it was so special. She, just early afternoon, she had said, "Oh, we're going to go meet some princesses next." And she just whisked us into a room, and I saw there was a really substantial line
Yeah.
outside. And we would have never waited in that line. We would have not
Mm-mm.
met those princesses.
No.
And we got to go in and meet three princesses, and they each talked to our girls. We took photos and videos, and it was just in and out and really magical. And that is the service we were paying for.
Yeah. Yeah,
So I think
absolutely.
all in all, the pricing, did we pay $6,000 extra?
I think total, because I think it was 5,200 total for, I want to say we had her for 7.5 hours.
Okay.
And then we tipped her 1,000. So roughly 3,000 each.
Right. Which is
Which is
so worth it.
so worth it. And it was great to split it with you. Like
Yes,
that was great.
it is great. And you're able to
Yeah,
have up to 10 people, is that right, on a VIP tour? So
exactly.
if you have
Right.
two families going, I mean, really, the luxuries that we were able to experience that day, it was worth much more than $3,000 in
Yeah.
mine and my husband's opinion. It was
Yeah.
just really wonderful, and every time we go to Disney from here on out, this is the
We
experience I
gotta
want to
do
have.
it.
Yes.
Oh, yay. Okay. Well, that's awesome
Yeah.
because we are down to split it again. That was
Yes.
so much fun. I love getting in more rides with the kids and especially just highlighting the Fantasyland area because that is the area that does not have fast passes and that you have to stand in lines for. So either you got to get up at the crack of dawn and get there for a rope drop or even for an extra magic hour. Or if you do it this way, you can go on those rides at a reasonable hour and just go through the exits with her. And so just skipping those lines and getting through those little kid rides with the kids and not having to stand in those. I mean, Peter Pan can get up to 90 minutes quickly. Like a
Yes.
90-minute wait for Peter Pan is,
And what a
you know,
damper that long lines would put on the overall experience of
right.
something like this with small children. And I love too that as soon as we got off a ride, if any one of the five children we had with us said, "I want to do that again," we immediately went again. And she just
Yeah.
got us right back on the ride. I do also love that it's discreet.
Hmm.
So, for the most part, she is getting you in and out of the exits because, of course, it's understood this is a luxury that is not everyone's not able to afford, and
Right.
it wouldn't feel good if it was too noticeable. So, going in and out of the exits. For the most part, I don't think that people in line are able to notice or see that you're hopping in and skipping the line. And I know my husband is hyper aware of how other people are noticing what we're doing, and he was just really relieved that it didn't seem like anybody noticed
Oh,
that we
that's
were able to
interesting.
do
I
that.
didn't know he was sensitive to that. Yeah.
Well, I
That's
think,
a
he doesn't want to make others feel less than or feel bad, right? This might be
yeah.
their one and only Disney trip in their lifetime, and they are waiting for 90 minutes, for 2 hours in each of these rides. And we are fortunate to be in a position where we can afford this extra service. And it's nice that it's a discreet service for the most part.
I totally agree. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, I don't feel like there's it is sort of a little bit of a two-tier system. We can get into this on another episode, but there's a lot of people angry that it's sort of like a two-tier system, and it doesn't feel good to have it be like that. You want everyone to have easy access to all the rides. And so I agree. Yeah, it's nice that it's discreet and it wasn't like in people's faces.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So I loved that you had scheduled for that first day, you had scheduled the Minnie's character breakfast at Plaza Inn, and then you had our VIP tour pick us up from that breakfast. Yeah. And we saw within our hotel a lot of VIP tour guides picking parties up within the hotel lobby. Yeah. And at first I was like, oh, interesting. They're getting picked up here. So maybe they skip lines going in. But of course, you planned it perfectly.
Oh, good.
And walking in was such a magical experience that first day, just soaking in the band and the characters. We got there early enough in the morning. It wasn't too long of a line. I think it was 8 o'clock or 8:30 when we walked in?
Yeah, around there, because we had like a 9 a.m. dinner or breakfast reservations. I think we tried to get in at like 8:30, I think.
Yes, and it was it was still pretty empty, and it was really magical, and we didn't have to rush anywhere. We kind of took our time soaking it in, wandering through the entrance. What is that initial downtown area called?
Main Street.
Main Street, yes.
Yeah.
And I was soaking that in, and then going into Minnie's character breakfast, that blew all my expectations away as well.
Yeah. Oh, I know, that's so fun.
The girls it was like checking boxes, right? Like we just got to meet so many characters. And the characters were so interactive with the kids, playing with their toys and playing with them and running around and pictures. And it just really checked that box of meeting characters. So we could go throughout our day afterwards enjoying other things.
Yeah. I thought it was so cute that your youngest brought in her favorite rat. And that all the characters...
Stuffed animal rat.
Yeah, her stuffed animal, her Ratty. And everybody got to meet the Ratty and take pictures with Ratty. And that was so funny.
It was so funny. All the characters like held it and they were pretending to pet it. It's so random. We have, 500 stuffed animals. But for whatever reason, this tiny little rat stuffed animal has become her favorite. And... I'm not sure why. It looks like a rat.
Oh, she likes rodents. So
she loves rodents.
This is in that vein. That's hysterical. I have to also highlight that I loved the Disney Photo Pass. The service was amazing, and I know that that's new. It's coming along with Disney Genie Plus. So when you buy Disney Genie Plus, you get this Photo Pass service. And I was amazed at those photos that we had taken in front of the castle and I mean everywhere. It was great to be able to collect those throughout the trip. And I have them now and I can download them and they're mine. They're professional. It's great.
They are professional photos, and that was another checking the box. We went and got the family photos in front of the castle and it was so great to have those and have that moment. And it's, sometimes on vacations, it's just me and the girls or just my husband and the girls in the photos. Of course, we had you guys with us this time, but we got a great photo with all of us. And just the background is so perfect in it because it was a professional photo. And I love how everyone that works there, whether it was the photographer or the characters or even just the person scanning your tickets to go in, they are all so attuned to the children and speaking to them and so kind and gentle with them. There must be a special Disney employee training on how to treat small children. Because they're nailing it.
I'm sure. And I know those characters take like a special class on like nonverbal communication.
Oh,
because they're able to, because they can emote so much. with just their
Yes.
gestures and their behavior, and they're not allowed to talk. So, yeah, it's they're really, really skilled. It's
They
amazing
are.
to
It
go. It's
was really
immersive.
magical. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. It was
yeah,
really magical. And we
that's
got some
cool.
great photos of just me and you with Minnie. That
Yeah,
was
I
fun.
know. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, that was really special. Those are some of my favorite pictures.
Yeah.
Because I feel like like you said, it's always very, very child focused, and when it can be adult focused for a second. It's a lot of fun. It's a special experience on my end. So,
Yes.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
that was great. I think that that is a great way to start day one at Disney with a mini character breakfast because
Yeah.
you can meet so many characters. Also, then your family's starting off the day with full tummies.
Hmm.
And you just have a moment to kind of soak in the magic of where you are and what lies ahead of you for the day. Sitting at those
Yeah.
tables, and I love the outdoor seating. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I have to say, so I am aware of how expensive the VIP is per hour, and it's per hour. So I'm very like, economical about this, and I want to get in the most amount of rides possible with our
Right.
guide. Like that's my major goal. So that's why I don't have them pick me up at the resort, because I don't want to waste my money and their time walking through the front gates and all of that. And actually, it worked
Right.
out great for you guys because you wanted to soak it in and take your time
Uh-huh.
and things. That's a lot of fun, but also costs a lot of money if you have a VIP person walking with you while
Right.
you do those things. So I'm
That's
just
smart.
that's why I always do it that way. Meet the VIP person in the park
When
for
you're ready to
Disneyland.
ride rides, like meet
Exactly. We're
them when you,
full and we don't need to
yes.
stop for meals, and we can eat along the way and get to the next
Yes.
ride. I think your husband called us Disneyland warriors or something like that.
Yeah.
That is very true for how I am. I want the most amount of rides
Yes.
in.
He
And I
was
want
very impressed with the
ah,
efficiency of this trip. And yeah, we're sold on Disney, but Disney with a VIP experience.
yes, absolutely. It's so
Yeah.
fun. And something else we got to do that night that I've never gotten to do before, but is very popular, is after we went out to my favorite restaurant, Lamplight Lounge,
Yum,
we
so
got
good.
to, it was so good. And the view. The view is just, again, nostalgia, California. It's just, I
Yeah.
love that view from that restaurant. But then we got to go to do Fantasia, and that's been on my bucket
Yes.
list for a really long time. And I was amazed. I
Yes.
loved it. I know it was intense for little kids. And I think that's a good disclaimer for this performance, is that it does have a big dragon. It does have maybe a scary pirate scene where it looks a little ghosty.
Yes.
So some of that came out. I don't know if you had any other things that were
Yeah.
sort of scary for yours, but
My oldest daughter is very sensitive to scary things. So if I remember from when I was a child seeing Fantasia, I think I was around 6 or 7. And when I looked
oh,
up the show, I had a lot of memories coming back. So I knew that it was going to have these elements. But
oh, you knew
um,
it. Okay,
I
that's
knew
good.
it was going to have these elements. But the good outweighs the scary parts, and it's so late, and we've had such a
Mm,
big day that my daughter didn't mind laying her head down on my lap, and I just covered her eyes, and I said, "This is a scary part right now. Like, just close your eyes." And she was fine with that.
good.
There were so many amazing parts to it, like the big ferry boat going by with every
Oh,
single princess. Every
yes.
princess
Yeah,
was
and like
on
some
that boat.
fireworks going in a
Yes,
circle. Like I was like, what is that? That's
it
beautiful.
was
And
beautiful and magical.
yeah, that
And
was
they
so
had the
cool.
Pirates of the Caribbean boat, which my daughter did close her eyes for that part, but
Yeah.
that was fascinating for me. It
I
was,
loved that part. Yeah,
yeah,
that's my
again, like a
favorite part
Broadway
probably.
show.
Yeah. So good. And the acrobatics and stuff are just it was crazy to see.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
another benefit of the VIP tour, of having a VIP tour, is that for the daytime parade that you mentioned earlier, and then again for Fantasia, which is the nighttime show, we had VIP seating. So you have chairs at the very front. And that, again, that is so worth the price that you're paying just to not have to waste time trying to stake out those spots and not even getting them, or being crowded, standing, just having a chair to sit down in makes it so much more enjoyable.
Yeah.
And a space where the children can actually see. You know, it's so sweet. I saw a lot of people putting their kids on their shoulders.
Yeah.
And that is really sweet, but having a chair for all of you to sit in is really nice.
Yeah. I love that at the VIP experience for Disneyland is in my opinion drastically different than the Disneyland or the Disney World VIP experience.
Okay.
I love that the Disneyland VIP experience, they plan all that for you in advance. You say, I want to go to the parade. I want to go to Fantasia. I want to also stay for fireworks afterwards. And I want to go eat at the hardest restaurant to get into with 9 people. And I want to sit outside, and I want to go to Lamplight Lounge. And they plan all that for you. And Kathy doesn't have to be on the hour for us to do those things. So she was done when she dropped us off at Lamplight Lounge. We ate dinner there, and then we walked ourselves back over to the VIP seating for Fantasia. And we didn't have to pay through to the end of that performance for the VIP experience.
Right.
That is not true in Orlando. You have to pay
Interesting.
the whole time and keep that guide with you at all times to have those entrances, and you don't plan them in advance. So they don't make your dinner reservations. Yeah. So again, Disneyland just knows how to do it. And when I said before, the logistics are what make it, this is why, because they do all this for you and actually make you feel like a VIP.
Yes. They make it enjoyable for the parents. And I think with just with how crowded Disneyland is these days. I mean, I was surprised at how crowded it was. I don't remember as a child it being that crowded. Of course, there's just an influx in population. So, of course, everything is more crowded than it used to be. But the amount of people that are in the park, it makes navigating to go anywhere very difficult.
It does.
And being able to just follow your VIP tour guide, and she knew the quickest routes and the quickest ways to walk. You know, there was no moments where we were like pausing and looking at a map. We just were able to blindly follow her, and that is so enjoyable.
It is. It takes the burden off of us cognitively, I think, to have to be thinking, what's next? Do I have a fast pass for that? How do I fit this other ride in the way? Like, there's so much going on days when you don't have this person, which is okay. But to be able to experience it without the overhead as a parent it's so enjoyable.
That's your vacation too, and that's where you're giving yourself the gift of a vacation and of some time and luxury. This is how you're able to make a vacation that typically would be totally child focused. You can elevate it and add a little luxury by adding this VIP experience. And I don't see myself ever going to Disneyland without the VIP experience. Because it was that good.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, our fireworks were canceled, but I know had we stayed there after Fantasia, we would have gotten to see them. So something else to keep in mind is if you want to go see Fantasia and then catch fireworks at Disneyland, you usually can do that. And right now, Disneyland is doing fireworks every single night, which is new for them. They've only been doing them on weekends throughout the pandemic. So something cool for people to look forward to and to plan.
Yes, and they were just canceled because of high winds, I believe.
Exactly. Yeah.
But we did see them the first night we arrived, so that was nice.
From our units. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's okay. Sometimes that's the best way to see them when you have little kids is you put your kids to bed and then you get a glass of wine, you go outside and watch those fireworks. That's so nice.
That's what we did. It was wonderful.
Yeah. And then I'm so glad we scheduled a down day the next day.
Yes.
We needed it.
We needed it. My feet were tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was just a lot of soaking it all in, and a lot of just a heightened experience that day. So everybody, just to be able to sit down and enjoy a pool day was so luxurious.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy you booked us a cabana,
Yeah.
which was really nice.
For $300 for an entire day, it's a pretty. I mean, you compare it to what you have to pay for one in Maui or
Right.
at the Ritz. It's a pretty good deal. And
Yes.
they have they serve you hand and foot with whatever you want and give you a really nice platter of fruit. In the morning, it's just some extra robes because it was cold. It's just a nice way to spend the day and have a little bit. If it's really crowded, it's nice to have one so that you have somewhere to go.
I
To
think too
hang out.
it had some nice couches in there, and it had a TV. So, my girls were just wiped from the day before,
Yeah.
and they were excited to be at the pool, and we probably spent like an hour really going on those water slides, which are amazing. Great water slides. But after that, they didn't go big on this pool day because the day before was
No.
so exhausting. So having the cabana where they could just relax and watch Disney cartoons and have food. They had really good strawberry smoothies for all the kids. That was so special for them. And it was special for us because as the adults, we were able to just sit at a table and have champagne and hang out. And that
Yeah.
was so fun, just chatting and hanging out with our adult friends.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
great.
I'm glad they just wanted to relax because that's all I wanted to do too.
Yeah.
So putting them down in front of the outdoor TV with a nice smoothie just to
Yeah.
relax, and then we got to have a glass of champagne together. That was fun.
Yes.
So, yeah. And then the next day was your last day, and that was
Yes.
really more like doing Disney the normal way. So, or I would say with Genie Plus.
Right. We didn't have a VIP tour guide that day.
Yeah. So it's a bit different, obviously, with the VIP tour guide and with Genie Plus, but you got to have an experience with Genie Plus on that day. And what do you think of it?
Yes. So I think prior to going to Disney, Genie Plus was really confusing. Just even learning from you what it was, learning on the app and reading about it, it was confusing. But it was great. So it allows you to make the reservation for the rides once you're in the park. So we woke up early that morning. And because we were staying at the Grand California, we were able to get in even earlier. And then we were able to book rides ahead of time. And the part that I love the most is that we were able to sync our two groups.
Oh, yeah.
And then you were able to book for us. So that was really nice that we weren't trying to do it on two different phones. The technology is good there.
Yeah, it works. It just works. The things you expect to work there, they have it down there. And I think Genie Plus works great at Disneyland. It's really easy to get a lot of rides in when you use it just on a regular day like we did.
Yeah.
It's great too to get that extra half hour if you stay on property. Then
Yes.
you're able to use your key card to get into Tomorrowland and into Fantasyland half an hour earlier than everybody else waiting for rope drop.
Yes, that was so fun. Because we had the great VIP day as our first day, it was fun to wake up early, and we just popped the girls in the stroller and we ran
We
to
went. Yeah,
Fantasyland. And that was fun. And oh my gosh, I mean, we went on teacups, Dumbo, merry-go-round, and maybe one more.
Probably Small World, right?
Small World. Yep.
Yeah.
We did those in a half hour. There was no line. It was like boom,
Yeah.
boom, 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 and that was amazing and really special.
It was great. And I feel like that second day we got to spend more time in Toontown,
Yes.
which I have to say is amazing. They did such a good overlay on what was there to begin with. It's very immersive. I love the skyline. Like they just did such a good job with it. It's really fun to just hang out now in Toontown. It did not used to be like that.
Oh, really? The playground that's there, my girls had so much fun. And the positive of not having a VIP tour guide is you can just stop and do those things and you're not counting the dollars in your head.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
So we just played at that playground in Toontown for a while and it was great.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
fun.
when it started to get a little too crowded, we dipped out of there. But it was fun in the morning.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then we did have a couple of ride breakdowns, which was fun.
Yes.
So we were on Toy Story Midway Mania, and this is a ride that's known to break down frequently.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, there is. I think there's some vulnerabilities in the track, so it breaks down from time to time. So we got stuck on that. That's the first time I've been stuck on that. And the lights came on, and so we got to see sort of what it looked like and what was going on, and actually walk through it, which was interesting.
Yeah. It was an interesting experience. Yeah, we got stuck. So this ride's over at California Adventure,
Right.
and lights came on, and it probably took a good 10 minutes for someone, maybe even longer.
Maybe even longer. It did take a little time, but the positive, again, for me, who is a Disney warrior, as your husband calls me, you get multi-passes when this happens. So if you have a Genie Plus, you've paid for Genie Plus, and then either you're booking a ride and it gets canceled. So if anybody else had booked Midway Mania at that time when it broke down, they also get a multi-pass. This is a pass. It's a fast pass that you can use on any ride that has Genie Plus, except for the ones that you have to pay for. So that would include the Cars ride at Disney California Adventure and Rise of Resistance and Mickey and Minnie Runaway Railway. Aside from those, you can go on any ride that you want to go on that has the lightning lane at any time. So these things are like gold. When you get these and you see them in your app, it's like, I'm going to use these. Like, how are we going to use these? I get so excited.
I know when one of the rides broke down, my husband said, "Oh, Megan's happy about this. She's getting her multi-passes."
I get so excited about
Yeah.
those. That was a lot of fun to get more fast passes. I think by the end of that night, we had a few because we'd had a couple breakdowns. So those are fun to get. It's like,
Yes.
okay, it took a little extra time to get me off that ride, but now I have this fast
Yes,
pass.
and then I loved that we were using them on the Incredicoaster. We were just going again and again. We were trading off adults that were staying with the little kids. They were
Right.
just playing with their bubble wands and eating snacks by the water. And then the other adults and your oldest daughter, we just kept going again and again and again. And that going on a roller coaster over and over and over, that brings out my inner child. That's like, I remember being like 12 and just you can't get enough of it. And
Yeah.
that's just so fun. That brings you back to being a little kid. And I think there's a part of Disney that that's so special about.
I totally agree. Yeah, that was so fun
Yeah.
going on it. And there's a difference on Incredicoaster for the day and the night.
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I mean, the nighttime, you just can't beat it. It is
Yeah.
so beautiful. And we were fortunate to have just perfect weather while we were there, just nice high 60s, no rain. And just the crisp, cool air and the lights in the sky. It's just magical. The daytime is fine as well, but nothing for me beats the nighttime. And then your oldest daughter convinced me on my last ride to go on the front with her. And here I am, a grown woman, and I was like, I don't know. And she convinced me, and it was incredible. So I'm like, the front and the nighttime on Incredicoaster, if you get an opportunity to do it, that's where it's at.
Okay, so again, a shout out to the husbands, because this was not me or my eldest daughter. This was your husband. He said,
really?
yes, he said, make sure she sits at the front. I don't care if it takes you guys 10 extra minutes. We're going to go get in line for the World of Color dessert party. Make sure she sits in front.
Oh, I didn't
And-
realize that.
Yeah. So we both have good husbands, don't we? They're looking out for our
Yes.
experiences.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you got to experience that and do it at night in the front. You did it just the perfect way.
And I think that's so sweet to know that they said that. I think as moms and moms of small children experiencing new or big exciting things, so often I know I can just get lost in their experience. And, this is our experience as well. And pulsing
Yeah.
in these little special things for us, it brings so much joy in. And ultimately, it makes you a better mom because you're having so much fun too.
I agree. Yeah, I thought that was so sweet.
It was sweet.
Um, and then what did you think of? So we did the World of Color dessert party. That sort of was the end
Oh,
cap of our trip. What did you
it
think of
was
it?
amazing. So we booked, it was $89 a person,
Mm-hmm.
and we booked the dessert party, which again, we were really booking having seats for the World of Color. Um, and it was phenomenal seats. It was great service. It was really, really just an elevated experience. And so I didn't know what to expect with the World of Color. I hadn't researched it much, and that show was just fascinating. And it circled back to the beginning of Walt Disney's story and why he created Disneyland. And it had this deeper underlying message of being a good person and being good to other people. And that was so inspirational and
Mm-hmm.
so moving. Um, I was happy for my youngest daughter had fallen asleep, but I was so happy for my oldest daughter to hear
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, I loved that it harkened back to Walt Disney and again that nostalgia. Like I'm so grateful he came up with such a cool, I don't know, such a cool concept for Disneyland and for coming up with Disney in general. And I loved seeing that old footage of him. I thought that was just so cool. Um, yeah. So it was a
It
great way to sort of end that trip. And that one is called World of Color 1. It's a new performance from the one that they used to have. And again, just having a fresh performance like that or a fresh nighttime spectacular just keeps the parks fresh in my opinion. Like it just the extra experiences that you can add on like that. And you don't have to do a dessert party to do this. I would say you can, you can watch it from your unit if you're staying at the Disney California, Grand Californian. Um, you can do it by just watching from your unit there. You can watch it, just lining up and waiting for it to be out there. You can actually even get seats, I want to say, at Lamplight Lounge to have a cool view, to
yes.
watch that over the water. So lots of ways to see this. But again, just keeping it fresh and those extra performances made this trip for me this go around, I'd say.
Yeah, and I think that these extra performances are what make Disneyland above and beyond other theme parks
Yeah.
because these performances are, like I had mentioned, they're Broadway quality performances. And the beauty of the arts is really comes out there. And for my oldest daughter, who she loves watching performances, and some rides were maybe not her favorite rides, these performances were so magical for her,
Yeah.
watching her eyes light up. But the dessert party is fun because you also get a tray of desserts, and they were delicious.
Yeah. Oh, they were good. And you also get 2 glasses of something
Yeah.
alcoholic if you would like to have that. So I think I
Yeah.
had the sparkling, I don't know if it was cava or what it was, but something sparkling, it was nice to just have a little something to sip at the end of the night.
Yeah. It was
Yes,
nice.
that was fun. Well, what do you think? Do we need to optimize this at all, or is
Uh,
it sort of a perfect trip?
I think it was absolutely perfect. I think thank you
Oh,
so much for bringing us along on a trip that you
yay.
had perfected. And
Thank you for coming. Thank you for trusting me and doing this with us because it just made it that much more fun. And like I said, I think it was the company and all of a sudden it's a 10 out of 10 trip
uh,
and we had
yes,
so much fun with you guys. So,
we had so much fun. I can't
yeah.
wait to plan the next one.
I know. I'm like I wish we could go back right now. I didn't
I
want to leave at
know.
the end. Yeah.
I know.
It
Well,
was
let's see.
fun.
What are our 3 takeaways?
I would say number one is that Disneyland is a blast with friends. We have done it
Yes.
alone, we have done it with family, and now we have done it with friends. And just the add on of being able to experience this with someone that is so fun and positive, and you're just seeing your kids go, enjoy themselves. That was just the
Yes.
cherry on top of the wonderful ice cream that we had. I thought it was just so much
Yes.
fun.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Yes. I think number two, Genie Plus and Photo Pass are amazing. I, being someone who loves photos, I love having photos of my family together. The Photo Pass was just incredible to have these beautiful professional photos of your family on an amazing trip. Where else do you get that?
Oh,
Nowhere.
I
It's just
know.
part of your service, and it's really great to have.
I second that. This was my first experience really with the Photo Pass, and I'm blown away. It was great. I would say number three is if you can swing VIP days or a VIP day, I would say do it.
Yes.
It is just so much fun to not have to stand in those lines. And if you have little kids like we do, it's just so worth the money to not have the screaming fits and all that from just all the waiting that you may have to do if you don't have this.
Right, that just really takes away from the magic of what it can be. And if you go with friends and you have two families, you split the cost. It is what you get for that is above and beyond what the value is. So very
Absolutely.
exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that concludes our episode on Disneyland. And
Yay.
I had so much fun with you, Sarah, unpacking it all and going and doing it with you. It was just a blast. So I'm glad we
I
got to do
did
that together.
too. Thank
Yeah,
you. And it was
of course.
so much fun, and I can't wait to do it again. So please rate, like, and subscribe, and catch us on Instagram at Platinum Perspective Podcast.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.